We are closing in on the final steps of this mud wagon rebuild. I did the framework last week, and some of these old pictures seems to indicate that the end bows, front and back, had a solid panel in those. I'm going to try to fit a 3/4 inch poplar board in there to match that curve. And then there are slats over the top that will help spread that canvas over the top. Some of these old photos I show up to 20 slats on these, so they're fairly close together. And I'm guessing in that 1 3/4 wide area by 3/8 thick. So that's what we're going to try to accomplish here next. So I've got a 51 inch wide board here, and I think they want to sit right on these slats. And I think I can take and just scribe with a pencil line around here and try to match this curve. We'll have to be pretty careful when I cut this out on the bandsaw. Probably leave it a little strong just so I have some fitting room to where I want it to fit pretty snug inside this bow. So working with the light of the front of the shop, you can see I've got maybe a little tight spot here, maybe a little bit in here. It looks like right through here a little bit. You can see daylight here and daylight here. I'm just touching right there. That daylight till looks like about right here. I might have a little spot touching. And I think we're pretty good across the top. Maybe a fuzz there. So it's going to be just up and down, back and forth to the sander, kind of touching some of these spots until I finally get it fit. It's the process of time. We've got it all set inside the bow and it's fitting the arch. But you remember when I cut this angle here, on the rear bow, it was 7 degrees off. So therefore, this 90 degree that I have on the bottom of this insert actually needs to be 7 degrees tapered to fit the angle of this lateral slat, which will actually help relieve this enough to slide this in on this 7 degree angle here inside this bow. So with this being at a 7 degree taper, it actually kind of fits it into a wedge. So it goes in pretty snug. So I have little rounded corners on my top bow itself. So I'm going to bring this just kind of right into that rounded corner. Kind of right in there. I'll pre-drill a couple holes for nails maybe 3 along the top, and probably bring 1 in each side to keep it in position. Plus, if I glue this, it'll make it pretty permanent. And this is going to add a lot of rigidity to this top. There's also, from these old pictures, evidence that there was an iron rod that came up. It would be on the inside because we see 2 bolt holes here. They will also triangulate these corners to give good rigidity to these tops. And this front one will go in pretty much the same way. So since this bow leans back 5 degrees, I'll bring it in from the front and slide it back to where I have the same relief on the front edge as I do on that back bow on the back edge. There's a tight fit. I think right about there will work. Yeah, that'll work. Now I'll cut some slats for the top. Well, I have 4 sizes of slats that I've made. These are the 3/8 by 2. These will go on the face of the laterals down each side. I have 2 inch and 5/8. These are all 3/8. And they'll go just above the lateral before the bend really starts. Then I have some that are 1.5 that I'm going to use around that bend. Because of the curve, I made them smaller so they don't rock quite so much. They're still going to rock a little bit. Then I have some 1 7/8 that are going to go across the flat portion of the top itself. I've got the front angle cut at 5 degrees, same thickness. What it's going to do is actually make the joint for these 2 center bows. It'll kind of turn them from a lap joint into a mortise and tenon joint. This back bow will actually be at a 7-degree angle. That fits right along the angle of that iron. So now that I know that it'll fit, I'll actually glue this in place. Then there'll be a bolt through each of the 2 center bows. You see here, putting this top cap on turns this into more of a mortise and tenon joint. Now we'll let get that set up. So besides the 2 laterals, I did cut 11 of these 1 7/8 bows or slats. I'll start out with one in the center and work to the side, to one side, so I don't paint myself in a corner and can't reach the middle. Now, some old photographs that I have showed that this being the bow and this being the top slat, that these had 2 and sometimes 3 nails in them to fasten these slats to the bows. Well, in the number of bows that I've taken apart in different tops, when you perforate this with a whole bunch of nails, it ends up having a tendency to split these bows. So what I'm going to do is I have a 1/4 inch crown stapler, sometimes known as a GIMP stapler. These are also only 1 inch long. So I'm going to take this stapler and use it to fasten these slats. So it'll end up being kind of like so. I think it'll be less disruptive on this bow since these are a smaller leg than some of your nails that I would otherwise use. So I have these kind of laid out where I think they're going to go. I'm going to start out with my center one, and then I have it calculated out that from center to center to center to center, these are all going to be 3 1/4 inches. Well, I'm only going to put 1 staple in on this end, then I'm going to go down and adjust that other end that allow these to move a little bit, get these all in position, and then the centers I'll have to kind of position those as well, equalize the spaces out. You know, these have slight little bows to them, which is pretty typical. Now I'll go do the other end. Almost too short on one end. So I picked a pretty straight bow to go through the center, and I can use it to kind of straighten up these other ones. I guess these don't have to be super accurate, but you want them kind of pleasing to the eye, because all the passengers sitting underneath are going to have lots of hours to sit and study whether I got it straight or not. Much faster than nailing. And just need to fill out the other side. Running out of room here. What I did is cut myself 1 1/4 inch shim, which should be the spacings in between. So my first slat up from the lateral, I've got some 1 1/4 inch shims that I'm going to use as spacers. Got some clamped in on these 2 center bows. So I've got 9 inches between these 2 slats. So if I divide that out by 4 spaces, because I want to put 3 1.5 inch slats in here to make this corner, I'll mark these out at 2 1/4 on the centers and add our final 3 bows on this corner. Well, this canvas top material is going to fold over the corners, so I want to take off these sharp corners. So now all my slats and this slat on the lateral is all flush with this ironwork, so this canvas top material can come and just cover all of this uniformly. So it also looks to me like in these pictures that this bottom corner here has been rounded off, so perhaps that material was folded underneath. The last step I need to do is make the brace that goes in the corner of this back bow. I'm going to use some 7/16 cold roll to make the arch, and then I'll draw out the end. It'll be bolted on the inside of this insert. I've got some 1/4x1. I have enough for actually both sides in one. I'll draw out the ends, weld on my 7/16, and then I'll split it, and that'll make my brace for the back of this top. Almost hard to look at with all this kaleidoscope shadows, huh? Well, that kind of buttons up the top. Got a few little odds and ends to do on metal work on the rest of the body. Kind of curious if those of you who have been following along remember just what I haven't finished yet. There's just a few items. Do you remember what they are? Appreciate you following along. Thanks for watching.